a lot of people have a misunderstanding of what Hindutva is, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
been defined by the Supreme Court that Hindutva is Hinduism, which is a way of life and is not to be misused as a smear or as a political tool to refer to certain movements.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and what I would argue is that Hindutva is a unifying, decolonizing ideology that doesn't belong to one party or one
Mm-hmm.
movement. It belongs to the people, and it can trace. You can trace a straight line to the past. That Hindutva wasn't born in 1980 with the Bharatiya Janata Party, with the BJP, nor was it even born with the Jansangh before it. So Hindutva, you can say that it started with movements for self-determination and self-respect among
Mm-hmm.
the dharmic communities of India. So that could apply to anyone from Chhatrapati Shivaji to Guru Tegh Bahadur to any number of anti-colonial leaders and warriors who were fighting
Mm-hmm.
for an India that was not defined through the lenses and tools of foreigners.
Mm-hmm.
And that is pretty non controversial. Every country had this. Every country that had a colonial experience had some sort of resistance. Now, what was the unifying factor for Indian rebellions and revolts and wars of independence against Turkish colonizers or Mughal colonizers or British, Portuguese, Danish, French colonizers? We didn't have a common language to unite around. So it wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
linguistic ethno-nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
It was a certain understanding of, what it meant to be Indian, what it meant to be from dharmic values, and a certain sacred geography, as it's called, that India was
Mm-hmm.
defined by, millennia of certain civilizational history and values. And it was
Mm-hmm.
always brought back, this was always part of it. All anti colonial movements in India were revivalist in the sense that they sought to erase the humiliation of having their polity, their economy, their society
Mm-hmm.
destroyed by force by foreign invaders who did not identify and did not wish to identify with the values of the people. So it's still a bottom up ideology. One sees this in various countries. So, for example, in Greece, Greece, similar to us, had 400 years of Turkish rule. Now,
Mm-hmm.
they overthrew it in a war of independence. So this year they celebrated 200 years of independence,
Okay.
or at least of the Declaration of Independence. And they don't look upon that period with nostalgia like some of our Mughal fetishists do. They even invented a new word for it. It's called Turkokratia, so Turkocracy. So
Mm-hmm.
Turkocracy is the 400 years of colonization wherein their people were degraded, where their children were enslaved, forcibly converted. They lost their language, lost their identity, were not allowed to practice their religion, had to
Mm-hmm.
pay jizya, had to pay what was called the blood tax as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that they sought to fight against in their war of independence. And that shapes the understanding of Greece as a modern nation state. So various countries have some sort of unifying mythos, some sort of unifying values or historical
Mm-hmm.
experience. Now, because in India, the colonial periods were associated with an oppression of native spiritual traditions as well as
Mm-hmm.
knowledge systems, because it's not just about religious values, it's about the entire scientific, social, economic organization of society before the invasions and colonization and afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
that you harked back to that past. So when Shivaji, was proclaimed Chhatrapati. If you look at his proclamations, he talks about, reviving values, that this is a country where cows will be sacred. This is a country where slavery will be abolished. things like that. So uh, this was a historical current which
Mhm.
today exists in a very different form to what people think it means. So because there hasn't been a strong enough definition or defense of the definition by uh, those who practice it, or even by the Supreme Court. The definition exists. That's the definitive definition of what Hindutva is. That's forgotten. And instead, there has been the use of the term Hindutva as a boogeyman by certain political actors to vilify the revival of Indian knowledge systems and heritage and cultural heritage.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.